بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Today's lesson 24 and I believe it's the 20th of Rabi al-Awwal 1438. The adhkar of rukuh. He would say different types of remembrance of Allah and supplication, any one of the following at a time. Number one, Subhan Rabbi al-Azim, which is translating into English.
It doesn't say 3 times?
No, coming. How perfect is my Lord and Supreme 3 times.
Go on.
Footnote 1, Ahmad, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Daraqutni, Tahawi, Bazar and Tabarani in Mu'jam al-Kabir, and the authority of 7 companions. Hence, this refutes those who did not accept the specification of glorifications to 3 times, such as Ibn al-Qayyim and others.
Go ahead.
Sometimes he would repeat it more than that.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. We need to learn the Prophet ﷺ's prayer in order to make sure that we are doing our ibadah perfectly. We need to make sure, can you just brothers, Sheikh Wan, and I'm going to say this so many times, I mean we have passed this point now. Always, there's no gaps because the shaitan sits in these gaps. Lock him up. So the Prophet ﷺ's prayer is the one that will get you the khushu'. And this khushu' is something dear and it's not easy to come. For verily, as I said a number of times, the person when he comes to the prayer, he straight away switch on the autopilot and does not come out of this autopilot until he finishes his prayer. So he doesn't know what he had prayed, what he had said, what sort of surah the Imam had recited. So I was not here when the Imam had made his prayer. So if I ask, how many people of you knows what the Imam had recited in the first? But he recited some simple surah or simple? Okay. Can anybody just tell me how many people knows what the Imam had recited in the first rakat? What is that simple surah? Put your finger up, you know, please. It's not showing off. I want to know. None of you knows what surah you recited? Where were we? Different world. Were you here in the prayer? Who was with you in the prayer? Nobody prayed here? Allahu Musta'an. So what did you recite in the first rakah? You said simple surah, he said. Oh. No, that's not simple. I'm talking about Qul Huwallahu Ahad, that's simple, no? You don't recite all these Juz' Amma, for example. So second rak'ah, what is the recite in the second rak'ah? What do you recite in the second rak'ah? Very good. Now, I don't know how many people knows that, but this is what the Prophet ﷺ, he said, that هذا أوان أن يختلس العلم. This is the time when the knowledge will be disappeared, will be snatched. And this is when Awad ibn Samit interpreted this, that he said the first knowledge will be snatched away with khushu'. We're about to come inside the masjid, which is jami', like this big masjid. You don't find anyone who is making khushu'. Why? Because he doesn't know what he's saying and what he's talking about. So when he glorifies Allah in the prayer, when he says the Fatiha, he reciting the Fatiha, he is listening to every word that he's saying it. And whatever word is saying it, what does it mean, what does it implement? That's what we learn the adhkar rukuh. Prophet of Allah, according to the Shaykh al-Albani, that he used to make this adhkar, sometimes this, sometimes that. What it means, that normally it is the case, please listen to my words, normally it is the case, that he does not combine between these adhkar. He would say Subhana Rabbil Azim 3 times, so you could specify it with 3 times, but after that there is no such thing as called specification of number. He would repeat it whatever he wants to repeat. And that repetition is needed sometimes if you are making your rukuh prolonged. So if you are making your qiyam during the night, first of all you need to know how much time left for you until the fajr. And then in that time, then you could see how much I could make my qiyam long and how to make my rukuh is long. Listen to me now. In the prayer, the normal prayer, not the qiyam al-layl, we have in those 5 pillars, which is one pillar which is called the qiyam, the first one. Second one, which is the rukuh. Third one is after the rukuh. The fourth one, which is the sajda. And the fifth one is between the sajda. So the 2 sajda is one I'm talking about. So again, I'm saying the qiyam, which is when you recite the Quran. Second one, which is the rukuh. Third one, up from the rukuh. Fourth one is the 2 sajda. The fifth one in between the 2 sajda. In the normal prayers, not in the night prayers, normally it is the case that the Prophet ﷺ, he has a sunnah, which is for his qiyam, which is the first one, and that is will be not attached to the sunnah linked to the 4 pillars after that. Meaning that his qiyam will be in its own longer than the rest, whereas the rukuh and lifting up from the rukuh and the 2 sajda and in between to do sajda, they are equal in length. But the first qiyam is always differs from those. So always the first qiyam will be longer. So whatever you see from the prayers of the imam, that is correct almost. So you would recite, for example, in the qiyam, سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى or هَدْ حَدَّكَ عَلِيهُ الْغَاشِيَ. And then the Prophet in his rukuh would say Subhana Rabbil Azim how much? 3 times. No way his 3 times of Subhana Rabbil Azim will be equivalent to his what? سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى. No way. So this is normally it is the case. Unless there is cases like night qiyam, or you're praying on your own. You're praying on your own, you could prolong whatever you like, but if you are the imam, you have to make sure that there are people behind. So it is not from the sunnah that if you made your Dhuhr prayer with a long recitation to make your ruku' very long as you're standing up. In the night prayer, Prophet of Allah, he recited Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, Al-Nisa, and also the 7 Tiwal, Al-A'raf, he mentioned Al-An'am, Al-Ma'idah, all of those. And he made his ruku' equivalent to what? His qiyam. That is a special prayer. This is Hudayfa bin Yaman. He was having almost sort of, I would say, collapse. And that is why Abdullah when he said, I almost sat down and left the Prophet of Allah. It's too much for him. Because this is the qiyam. And the Prophet of Allah, he did not tell Hudayfa, come and join me in the qiyam. He joined him. He was making his qiyam. You could join somebody making his qiyam. But not to make it like we're going to sit together a qiyam on a particular night, except for Ramadan, of course, Tarawih. So those 4 pillars, which are not the qiyam, the first qiyam, which is the ruku', up from the ruku', the 2 sajda, and between the sajda, they are equivalent in length. Now you understand what we're talking about. So, when the Prophet of Allah repeats most of the time subhanallah 3 times, okay, regardless of whatever surah he had recited with the Fatiha is equivalent, it's much more longer than the one. You understand what I'm talking about, or shall I repeat? Okay. Prophet of Allah used to say subhanallah 3 times, yes? What type of surah would be to recite in the qiyam to be equivalent to subhanallah 3 times? What type of surah? We already finished the time with the Fatiha. Unless you're the Hanafis, you don't recite the Fatiha, there's no need for the Fatiha. Do you understand me? That's equivalent to Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ Inna شَانِئَكَ وَلَا No Fatiha. Does that happen? So it means that the Prophet of Allah's qiyam, which is in the recitation, is longer. This is something that you bite onto it and write it. Okay? Bite onto it and write it. You understand me? Very important that your qiyam in the normal prayers, especially when you lead, you cannot make it to that equivalent to the ruku'. That is the Prophet of Allah mentioned Subhana Rabbil Azim 3 times. No way, in any way, that you will be equalizing the time when you are making the Fatiha, and even without any surah. The Fatiha in itself will be longer than Subhana Rabbil Azim, even if you could say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, which is not dua. This is the robot speaking. There's no dua like this. is Subhana Rabbil Azim. That's the normal. Subhana Rabbil Azim. That's extra speed. Subhana Rabbil Azim. That's not accepted. That's not accepted. So Subhana Rabbil Azim 3 times. It melts us, tells us that the Qiyam, the first one, has got its own sunnah, which is not linked to the rukuh. But during the night prayer, Prophet of Allah, he would make it equal. His Qiyam, because he's on his own. He's praying on his own. If you want to pray with him, it's up to you. Like what Allah he had done, and whatever he had done, he joined him in the prayer. But he didn't tell him to join him in the prayer. So this is up to you. And in the Qiyam as well, you are allowed to sit down. It's not a must upon you to stand up. But Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, how can I sit down and leave the Prophet of Allah standing up? I mean, Prophet of Allah, his sins are being forgiven, past and the future. And me, I haven't got my sins, which is the past of being forgiven, hasn't been guaranteed, not to guarantee my coming sins. So how can I sit down with the Prophet of Allah standing up? That's why he said that. And he said it, I almost did something bad. That's what he called it, something bad. Sometimes he would repeat it. What do we understand from that? Repetition of this, there's no number. So there's no such thing, witr. And you don't apply the word, in Allah witrun yuhibbul witr. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is on witr. And He loves the odd. That's not right to apply it here. And they're going to be preoccupying yourself. Okay, when you repeat the Subhana Rabbil Azim. Subhana Rabbil Azim 101, Subhana Rabbil Azim 102, Subhana Rabbil Azim 403. So you make it tasbih of the numbers now. It's not right. You just keep making tasbih. After the 3 times, there's no count. Whether you end up with even or odd, it doesn't really make a difference. Brothers, fill up the gap. We can't leave out the gap. You leave us something. Come on, leave it like that. Brothers, don't leave gaps. It's important. Remember that. Hold on to it. So, there is no timing of your Subhanallah or numbering for Subhanallah al-Azim up for 3 times. You could say it once, you could say it twice, you don't have to say it 3 times. And you could say it 3 times. The sunnah is to say it 3 times or more. But it's permissible to say it once or twice. Why we say that? Because the Prophet ﷺ is commanded to implement the verse فَسَبِّحْ بِاسْمِ رَبِّكَ الْعَظِيمِ and glorify the name of your Lord in your rukuh. And as in your sujood, فَأَكْثِرُوا, that is, سُبْحَانَ سَبِّحْ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى, make your dua in the sujood. So in the rukuh, we need to glorify Allah al-Azim. So if you did it once, and that's acceptable by the consensus of all scholars. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, acceptable. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim twice, acceptable. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim 3 times, the sunnah. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim more than 3 times, sunnah. Right, now we're coming now to, he used to repeat it. Now,
once in the night prayer.
Before I go ahead, he says here, that is which is the footnote, sorry about that. He said that this is being mentioned from 7 companions with authentic chain, and this would deny and refute what the Imams like Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, and he's a great Imam, when he said that there is no narration would say that would restrict us to only, or to say 3 times, but there is a narration. Now, and the Shaykh al-Albani, up to now, he is the one that no one can compete from him, from the past or after his death, regarding his tracing of the ahadith of the prayer. No one, and I'm saying this, and I could make an oath on it, no one from the past or even after him, he had traced the number of ahadith regarding the prayers. Rahimahullah. So 40 years in this book. Just 40 years for this book. Now,
once in the night prayer, he repeated it so much that his rukuh became nearly as long as his standing before it, in which he had recited 3 of the long surahs.
Al-Baqarah,
Baqarah, Nisa and Al-Imran. This prayer was full of supplication and seeking forgiveness, and the hadith has already been mentioned under recitation in the night prayer.
What he meant, and what we have discussed as well before under Salat al-Layl, is that the Prophet ﷺ, when he is doing his night prayer, Normally when he passes by a verse that would include hellfire, he would seek refuge in hellfire. If there's a request, he would request Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make dua. If there is Jannah, he will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Jannah. That's what it means. And he would seek forgiveness while he is. So for example, if any ayah would seek istighfar, he would seek istighfar. And that is only for the voluntary prayer, which is during the night. The night prayer we call it. So he said that he one night, and that is not really repeated so many times, we've seen it only maybe twice, been narrated by Hudayf al-Yaman twice, meaning 2 different occasions. That is, he recited Al-Baqarah and Nisa, Ali Imran. Another one, he recited the 7 long ones. And he made his rukuh is equivalent to his qiyam. And qiyam, the word here, it is not the qiyam after the rukuh, the qiyam which is before the rukuh. So his rukuh, Baqarah, Nisa, Ali Imran, that's long surahs. Add to them the istighfar, that makes it even, okay, long. We're talking about here 2.5 hours. Just for that qiyam. So his ruku', same thing. So it must have been that this is during the winter time, that where the Prophet ﷺ, he had made the night qiyam all night long. He did not sleep until Fajr. You're talking about 10 hours. 10 hours prayer. Okay? That's what you're talking about. It's a long time. So from, for example, 6 o'clock until 6 o'clock the Fajr, or 5 o'clock, 9 hours. Right. Al-Baqarah, An-Nisa, Ali Imran. And also from those tasbihat he used to say, there's a footnote as well. I think so. Whatever footnote there, please read it. Because
sometimes you repeat it more than 2. There's a footnote. This can be deduced.
More than 2?
Yeah, before we made subhanAllah.
More than 3 times. More than 3.
Oh yes, more than, I think number 2.
Yeah, more than 3.
More than that.
Yeah.
This can be deduced from the ahadith which make it clear that he sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to make his standing, rukuh and sujood equal in length as mentioned after this section.
Now he is like between his qiyam and his rukuh and his sujood. This is in the night prayer, but not in the general, I'm just saying. So if sometimes, he says sometimes, yes, but not all the time. Sometimes on his own. Sometimes if he's, for example, got companions whom he knows that they are not in need to rest or they're really tired. So for example, he's on a journey with a specific people. But if it is a normal prayer in the masjid, then he would do it 3 times. And if he did it 3 times, then definitely his ruku' will be much less than his qiyam. Na'am.
Adhkar number 2. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdi. How perfect is my Lord and supreme, and praised be He 3 times.
Okay. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdi 3 times. And you remember when we said the adhkar, all of this in the prayer to be said in Arabic, not to be said it in the translation of the English. You can't say glorify my Lord. No. Say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdi. So it's different from the other one by adding the word what? Wa bihamdi. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdi. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdi. I have learned it when I was a kid from people who got, no link to the knowledge. Subhana Rabbil Azim bihamdi. Subhana Rabbil Azim bihamdi. It's wa bihamdi. Subhana Rabbil Azim wa bihamdi. Right. So, third one, 3 times, and of course you could repeat it during the night. Now, in the night prayer, there is an exception here that we could really as well add to what we have said. You remember what we said? It is to alternate with these du'as, not to mix up with them. This is in all the prayers. So if you are in the Dhuhr, Asr, Sunnah, Maghrib, Sunnah, Isha, Sunnah, not the night prayer. Then when you make a ruku' and you want to prolong it, or whatever, you want to just make it a bit longer, then you repeat one of these du'as. So you stick to one of them. Subhana Rabbil Azim, 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 so on and so forth. Or Subhana Rabbil Azim wa bihamdi, Subhana Rabbil Azim wa bihamdi, so on and so forth. But in those night prayers, where they're going to be long ruku', we will adapt what the Imam Nawawi rahimahullah said. That is no problem, that is to combine some of those dua together, especially the ones whom the Prophet of Allah used to repeat. So you could say, Subhana or Subuh al-Quddus, Rabbul Malaikati wa Ruh. And then you say, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim. So because Subuh al-Quddus, Rabbul Malaikati wa Ruh, he did not repeat it, but there are some he repeated it. So there are things that, for example, we're going to say to number 7, Subhana dil Jabaruti wal Malakuti wal Kibriya wal Azama. He had repeated that in the night prayer. So in the night prayer, there is an exception where you could combine. So remember, in normal prayer, I've heard when I was doing rukuh one day or sujood, I could hear some people, they ask, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Malik al-Quddus, Allahumma laka raka'atu bika. That's not from the Sunnah. You stick to one dua and you keep repeating it. Stick to one dua, but don't combine between them. You do this or that. And that's why Imam al-Nawawi, when he had said you could combine the Imam Siddiq Hassan Khan in his Ar-Radd al-Nadiyya, he refuted his argument and he brought this and he said, we are with the Prophet of Allah. Where there is a proof that with the Prophet of Allah he had combined all of that. But we have a general saying. In the sujood of the Prophet ﷺ, when we talked about to say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, the Prophet of Allah, he said, ثُمَّ اخْتَرْ مَا شِئْتَ مِنَ الدُّعَى. Then choose whatever you like from the dua. Because of that generalization of the Prophet of Allah, that we could, because this is a dua. So the supplication, the adhkar of the Prophet is dua. So I could add that because of the general statement of the Prophet of Allah, which is, he said, فَلْيَتَخَيَّرْ مَا شَاءَ مِنَ الدُّعَى. Now in the rukuh, some of the scholars, they said that you're not allowed to make except for adhkar. There is no supplication. That's not right. The other scholar, they said, no, for verily the Prophet, when the Prophet ﷺ, he was said regarding the verse فَسَبِّحْ بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ الْعَظِيمِ, he said اجعلوها في ركوعكم, make this in your rukuh. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stick to Subhana Rabbil Azim without making supplication. So you make supplication in rukuh and you can make supplication in the sujood. But you are closer to Allah where? In the sujood. It doesn't mean that sujood is specified for that. I'm just saying this in contrast. You might hear from Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, for example, that the rukuh there is no supplication, and that is actually, as I said, being refuted. You could make or you could make dua in your rukuh. Now,
number 3, Subuhun Quddusun Rabbul Malaikati wa Ruh.
Footnote, please. No? After that. Read the translation.
Perfect, blessed, Lord of the angels and the Spirit. And blessed has a footnote. Abu Ishaq said, Subuh means the one who is free of any defect, while Quddus means the blessed or the pure. Ibn Sayyidah said, glorified and blessed are attributes of Allah, mighty and sublime, because He is glorified.
Ibn Sayyidah, okay, so you say Subuh, Quddus, he said what?
Ibn Sida said, glorified and blessed are attributes of Allah, mighty and sublime, because He is glorified and sanctified by others. Lisan al-Arab.
Right, Subuh, the one who is absolved to be looked into like any of his creation. So absolvation maybe is the better translation. Subuhun Quddus, the blessed. Rabbul Malaikati wa Ruh, that is, He is the Lord of the angels. Ar-Ruh, a word which has been interpreted into a number of interpretation, which is 1, Jibreel alayhi salam, or Ar-Ruh, the mighty amongst the angels, like Jibreel, Mikael, and Israfil, or Ar-Ruh is an angel which has a huge creation, but Ar-Ruh is always linked to Jibreel alayhi salam. Subuhun Quddus, Rabbul Malaikati wa Ruh. So Ruh is an angel, which is Jibreel salam, but he is the head of the angels. Now, number 4.
Number 4, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika Allahumma ighfirli. How perfect you are, O Allah, and praises are for you, O Allah, forgive me. He would say it often in his rukuh and sujood, implementing the order of the Quran. And the footnote says,
Go.
Bukhari and Muslim, implementing the Quran refers to the saying of Allah, then glorify with the praises of your Lord and seek His forgiveness, for He is of returning.
So read the supplication again. Subhanaka.
Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika Allahumma ighfirli.
Right, there is another narration which is authentic. Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana وبحمدك اللهم اغفر لي. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك اللهم اغفر لي. So we can add it ربنا after سبحانك اللهم. Okay, so this is an addition which is authentic. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك اللهم اغفر لي. He used to say it a lot, yes, in his rukuh and his sujood. He says there what? يتأول القرآن means what?
According to the Surah An-Nasr, then glorify the praise with the praise of your Lord and seek His forgiveness.
No, read number 4 again.
How perfect you are, O Allah, and praises are yours. O Allah, forgive me. He would say often in his rukuh and sujood, implementing the order of the Quran.
Let him just say, implementing the order
of the Quran.
What does that mean?
And then the footnote says, implementing the Quran refers to the saying of Allah, translating it to English, they glorify with the praises of your Lord and seek His forgiveness for His of returning.
Okay, that means implementing the interpretation of the Quran. Right, okay, that's right. Because the Quran had said, فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. Glorify the praise of your Lord and seek His forgiveness. إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. He's the one who accepts repentance. So the Prophet ﷺ is interpreting the command, and no one to interpret the Quran except for the Prophet ﷺ, because nobody is to come now and then interpret verses and then put them in his salah. So this becomes part of the salah because the Prophet of Allah said so. It's not because just a mere interpretation. This interpretation is linked to revelation. So Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdika Allahumma ighfir li. And he used to repeat that. So this is one of the ad'iyah that you could repeat that all night. So you could say in the night prayer, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim. Then after that you could say Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdika Allahumma ighfir li. Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdika Allahumma ighfir li. Keep repeating that dua as much as you want until you make your rukuh equivalent to your first qiyam. That's in the night prayer. And if you are praying on your own, remember that if you're praying Taraweeh and leading, you shouldn't do that. Number 5.
Adhkar number 5. Allahumma laka raka'at wa bika amant wa laka aslamt. Anta rabbi khasha'a laka sam'i wa basari wa mukhi wa admi wa fi riwaya wa idami. وعصبي وما استقلت به قدمي لله رب العالمين.
So اللهم لك ركعت وبك آمنت ولك أسلمت أنت ربي خشع سمعي وبصري ومخي وعظمي وكل ما وعصبي as what addition وكل ما استقلت به قدمي لله رب العالمين. What does it mean? O Lord, to you I have made rukuh. O Lord, is that one translation? Did you translate it?
No.
Go on.
O Allah, to you I have bowed. In you I have believed, to you I have submitted. You are my Lord. Humbled, for you are my hearing, my seeing, my marrow, my
What's marrow?
Inside the bone.
Okay, mukhi, it means my intellect, my brain. Now, so what is meant by that? Mukhi is what is inside the brain. Now, the brain itself, sorry.
My bone, in one narration, my bones, my sinews, and when
what sinews, please? Asa, nerves.
I think sinews.
It's like a bone, like one.
So basically, it's a type of a smaller bone. Is what you would say. Right. Okay, read it. Let me just elaborate on this one. Read it, finish.
And whatever my feet carry are humbled for Allah, Lord of the worlds.
Right. Yeah, Prophet ﷺ, he gave us a longer dua. That takes time. If you make it in your obligatory prayer, which you write so, you can just say it once. People would say you've been doing rukuh for a long time. Allahumma laka rakat wa bika amant. O Lord, to you I bow. And in you I have believed. And brothers are going up and down. Brothers, only go when you are needed, because I could see that you're going, coming. So when you need, you go, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. So fill up the gaps. Allahumma laka raka'at wa bika amant wa laka aslamt. And to you I have submit. Wa alayka tawakkalt. No, Allahumma laka raka'at وَلَكَ أَسْلَمْتُ أَنْتَ رَبِّي. You are my Lord. So I'm confessing to Allah Azza wa Jal, after I said that I bow to you, I in you believe, I in you I submit. You are my Lord. خَشِعَ لَكَ سَمْعِي وَبَصَرِي. To you, my hearing, my seeing are submitting. And then he says, وَمُخِّي. Mukhi translation malo is not right. Mukhi is in Arabic dimag, which is my brain. It's not the malo. So mukhi al-azam is not right. وَمُخِّي, it means my brain. وَدِمَاغِ وَعَظْمِ, which means my bones. And those bones, you have so many bones in your body. And when you say my bones, that means every single joint of yours, which is 360. The Prophet ﷺ said you got 360 sulama. And then he says وَعَصَبِ. وَعَصَبِ, Wallahu a'lam, is, it could be, when we say تخصيص بعد تعميم, that is a small bones being mentioned. But I would say the asab is the joint.
The translation says tendons that join the bones.
That's the one.
The ligaments and tendons.
That's the ones. So what did you say? What did you say?
Oh, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So what the translation was wrong there, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it says sinews, and that's what it means.
Sinews. Okay, so you didn't understand the word sinews. That's correct. That's what I wanted. So it is joint between them. So we have the bones and then the joint between the bones. That's correct. That's correct now, translation. So sinews. How do you spell that?
S-I-N-E-W-S.
S-I-N-E-E-W-S.
E-W-S.
I've never heard this word, sinews. Very good. So sinews is the tendons or the joint between the bones, which we call it atnab al-mafasil in Arabic. Right. Then he says, وَمَا اسْتَقَلَّتْ بِهِ قَدَمِ اللَّهِ. What did he translate that?
Whatever my feet carry.
Very good. Whatever my feet carry or raised, which is we call it a generalization after specification. Specification is that the hearing and the sighting and the as well, the brains and my bones and my joints. And then after that, whatever my feet carries, which is everything that I've mentioned. My feet carries my brains and my head and my hearing and my seeing, and you understand me? So we call it generalization after specification. تعميم بعد تخصيص. لله رب العالمين. I submit that all of that to you, O Lord. Now, number 6.
Number 6. اللهم لك ركعت وبك آمنت ولك أسلمت.
Which is the same as the one before, up to here. Then he adds.
وعليك توكلت.
So he added وعليك توكلت. So this is different from the first one now, just with the word عليك توكلت. The same thing are going to be أنت ربي. خشع سمعي وبصري. Then he instead of ومخي, he says ودمي ولحمي. So the addition here is 3 things. عليك توكلت and دمي ولحمي. And the rest is the same. Okay? The rest is the same. And there is an addition there which has been added to the one before. وما استقلت به قدمي. So اللهم لك ركعت وبك آمنت ولك أسلمت وعليك توكلت أنت ربي خشع سمعي وبصري ودمي ولحمي وعظمي وعصبي لله رب العالمين. Translation?
O Allah, to you I have bowed, in you I have believed, to you I have submitted, in you I have placed my trust. You are my Lord, my hearing, my seeing, my blood, my flesh, my bones, and my sinews are humbled for Allah, Lord of the worlds.
Now number 7 is in the Salat al-Layl, not in the normal prayer. 7 is in the Salat al-Layl, that means in the prayer of the night. Number 7.
Subhan dhil
Jabaruti wal malakuti wal kibriyai wal azam. He says the translation of which?
How perfect is he who has all power, kingdom.
All power, and Jabarut means the omnipotent, basically. And Malakut, the one who has the kingdom or the dominion or the right to do whatever he wants. Now, what does it mean?
Magnificence and supremacy.
Magnificent, Kibriya. Kibriya is the pride as well. Allah's got the pride. Kibriya, the pride. Better. Wal-'azama, supremacy, correct. Supreme, yes. So we have Jabarut, omnipotent, Malakut, the one who has the dominion, and Kibriya is the pride, and the 'azama is the supremacy. Right. He used to say it what? Yuri?
which he used to say in the night prayer.
In the night prayer means not the Isha, is whatever comes after the Sunnah of the Isha.
There was a footnote for the
Go on, footnotes.
Nisa'i with the Sahih Isnad. Note: is there proof for combining two or more of these adhkar in one ruku or not?
This is not in. Oh yes, Fa'il, go on.
The scholars have differed about this. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah was uncertain about this in Zad al-Ma'ad. Nawawi chose the first possibility.
Which is what? What is the first possibility? You understand what you're saying or not? No. Read again.
Is there proof for combining two or more of these adhkar in one ruku or not?
Okay, so combine, first possibility, not is second possibility. Okay? Do you understand that now? So the Imam al-Nawawi, he says of the first, which is what? Combine. Go on.
Nawawi chose the first possibility
Which means you combine.
in
Now.
al-adhkar, saying it is best to combine all of these adhkar if possible, and similarly with the adhkar of other postures. Abu al-Tayyib Siddiq Hassan Khan disagreed with him, saying in Nuzul
al-Abrar,
it is narrated with one of them here, another one there, but I see no evidence for combining. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not combine them in one go, but he would say one of them sometimes, another one sometimes. To follow is better than to start something new. This latter view.
Something new means making innovation. Al-ibtida'. So the one something new is not really as an impact when you say what bid'ah. Al-ibtida' is not just to start something new, innovate. Better to innovate. So it is better to follow than to innovate. Not to something new. Better to follow than to innovate. Ittiba'u khayrun min al-ibtida'. Now, وهذا?
This latter view.
Now this is the Shaykh al-Albani saying. This is finished now. You should say that. Remember now it's finished, isn't it? Is there anything that...
Yeah, there's quote marks.
That's it, you should say it. Don't lump remember now with Shaykh al-Albani saying. Shaykh al-Albani saying it now.
This latter view is the correct one.
What is one? Which one?
Not to
Siddiq Hassan Khan. Not to combine. Go ahead.
Inshallah. But it is proved in the Sunnah to lengthen this posture as well as others until it is about the length of the standing. Hence, if the worshipper wishes to follow the Prophet ﷺ in this Sunnah, the only way is to combine adhkar, as Nawawi said, and as Ibn Nasr has related.
In Qiyam al-Layl and Ibn Jurayj an Ata, or وإلا,
or to repeat one of the adhkar for which there is text for repetition, and this is closer to the Sunnah.
So what is closer to the Sunnah? To repeat the one which has a specification of repetition. How many ones we have specification of repetition? Let's just see them. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, that's one. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih, that's two. And then Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdik Allahumma gfir li. Those are the ones you repeat, that is, and also number 7, Subhana dil Jabaruti wal Malakuti wal Kibriyai wal Azam. There is no repetition being mentioned to Subbuhun Quddus Rabbul Malaikati wal Ruh. There is no repetition mentioned to Allahumma laka raka'at wa bika amantu wa laka aslamtu anta Rabbi, or Allahumma laka raka'at wa bika amantu wa laka aslamtu alayka tawakkaltu anta Rabbi, to the end, which an addition of وبصري ودمي ولحمي وعظمي وعصبي لله رب العالمين أو ما استقلت به قدمي لله رب العالمين. There is no repetition of that. Now, remember, those number 5 and 6, even though they are mentioned with close narrations, the Shaykh al-Albani did not lump them together. So, when you mention the word وَمُخِّي, okay, straight away you could add وَمَا اسْتَقَلَّتْ بِهِ قَدَمِي. But if you don't mention the word mukh and you mention the word dami wa lahmi, then you say lillahi rabbil alameen, there is no وَمَا اسْتَقَلَّتْ. Do you understand that? So make sure that you don't lump and make your own dua from the two. Okay? Don't make your dua from the two. So choose this or that. Otherwise the Shaykh would have said, because you see, they're coming from different companions. If they came from the same companions, then the Shaykh would have added them to that same narration. Because what we call it, the narrator, which is a companion, sometimes he would be, in some occasions, he is thriving to mention something more he has mentioned before. So in one occasion he mentions this hadith, but he's missing one or two words. And in another occasion he will be having what we call himma ali, mashallah, and he remembers with a sound remember, and he will add more. So if it is the case, and it's the same narration, it's authentic, so we'll add this more to the one which is what? Hasn't got that more. Because it's the same what? Occasion, same companions. The different companions, and this is two different occasions. Different link, there is no link between them, so we mention them separately. You understand that? Remember this. Sorry? I said that if this narration came from same companion, but this companion mentioned it in one occasion with, let's say, less words than a different occasion, then there is no problem, as the Shaykh Al-Albani used to combine between these two narrations and add those words which are mentioned by this companion in a different occasion to that occasion. But if it's two different companions and it looks like two different occasions, we don't lump them together. Each one has its own root, has its own supplication. Even though they look the same, this one is adding what's alayhi tawakkal. And that is why, if you look at the ad'iyah of the tashahhud, they're very similar to each other, but you should not lump together. So for example, we have, and we're going to come to the tashahhud, التحيات لله. No, we go to the Salat Ibrahim. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. But there's no such thing like this. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد. These are two different narrations. You're lumping one into the second one, two different supplications, even though they are very similar. So, because they are different companions, and those companions are not talking about the same occasion, then we will make these narrations mustaqillah, independent of the other one. So these ones are coming from different companions. Do you understand that now? Okay, different companions, not different documentation from a Muslim, no, different companions, different occasions. Sometimes the same occasion mentioned by different companions, then we could lump. But we have to make sure it is the same occasion. We have to make, sometimes we find the same companion narrating similar things, but the scholars have arrived to that it is different occasions. We don't lump. Did you understand that? The same companion narrating something which is similar, but actually we find out later on that, like for example, Hudayf ibn Yaman, he narrates the narration where he joined the prayer of the Prophet of Allah. Once he had said the 3 surahs. Once he had said more than 3 surahs. Scholars, they said 2 different nights. 2 different nights is not the same. So they put this on its own and this on its own. They will say sometimes he recited 3 and sometimes he said 7. Because if they lump it together, they will not say they recited 3. They will say, well, they recited what? 7. Khalas. Because we will always, al-hukmu liz-za'i fa-zad. Always the rule goes to the one who mentions extra. But this one does not mention it. So I'll give another example. Abu Hurairah narrates a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ regarding the Iman. Al-Imanu bid'un wa sittuna shu'bah. Abu Hurairah narrates the same hadith, Al-Imanu bid'un wa sab'una shu'bah. In this narration he said what? 60 plus branches, the Iman. Another narration he says what? 70 plus. The scholars, they said, this is one narration. But Imam Abu Hurairah here, he had mentioned 70 plus. So they say, Al-Hukmu liz-Zad, the one who's got extra in the hadith, we will adopt it. So we say now, the correct narration is what? Al-Iman bid'un wa sab'una shu'bah. Okay? Go ahead.
Lengthening the rukuh. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to make his rukuh, his standing after his rukuh, his sujood, and his sitting in between the 2 sajdas nearly equal in length.
Now listen to this. Again, read it and read it carefully. Prophet ﷺ used to make
his rukuh, his standing after rukuh.
Not before the rukuh. Standing what?
After the rukuh.
After the rukuh.
His sujood, and his sitting between the 2 sujoods
are
nearly equal in length.
You understand me? So the qiyam before that is sunnah mustaqillah. It's in its own, always in its own. But sometimes, the prayer Prophet of Allah would make his 4 pillars are equal to the one before. So that what we pray these normally is correct. Because as I said to you, no way if you mention Subhanallah 3 times, you'll be equalizing the time that you spend for reciting the Fatiha on its own. No way. So there will be no such thing. The Prophet of Allah mentioned Subhanallah Rabbil Alim 3 times. That's wrong, because it cannot be equal to Al-Fatiha. Do you understand that? So it must have been always that the Qiyam is always longer than the Rukuh. Always longer. But in the night Qiyam, maybe he will be similar, because the night prayer is on his own. Right, so, but those 4, remember, these are the Sunnah. Those are the 4. After the Rukuh, the 2 sajda, and between the 4 pillars. Again, Rukuh, after the Rukuh, the 2 sajda, and between the 2 sajda, they are almost the same. You see, some people start saying that he makes his, for example, Rukuh, and then the one after the Rukuh, less a bit. Then after the Sujood, less a bit. And between the sajda, less a bit. The second sajda, less a bit. That's confusion, because you're going to be timing yourself with seconds now. Okay? So almost the same, and it looks the same. It does not have to be the same. Don't put timing watch, stopwatch. It's not. It's just, you know it like this. As I said a number of times, the person, when he studies a lot, and when he learns a lot, it becomes familiar for him, those things by instinct. He will be having his timed clock inside himself. He will be ticking for himself, because he had learned it. And it reminds me, this is with the hadith as well, the Prophet of Allah. The people who work with the hadith of the Prophet of Allah, they will distinguish that this hadith, authentic or not authentic, even without looking at the chain. It's not because Sufi kashf, the Sufi kashf means they've got to the reality, kashf. No. It's to do with, okay, the person, if you know somebody so much, he will know that he came to the masjid even without looking by his breath. True or not? Just the breath, I'm not saying cough. He did like this, oh, my uncle is there, oh, my father is there. True or not? Just from the breath. From the breath. I come to the masjid in the prayer behind the Imam Mifajr. And the Imam, I came in the second rak'ah. And I did not cough, I did not do anything. I did not do anything. So after the prayer, he says to me, I felt you. I said, I deliberately came sneaky. He said, no, I knew it. The way you opened the door. So this is the person, when you know somebody, so how about the person who lives long life with his ahadith? Shaykh al-Albani, he would say, this hadith is not just da'if, munkar. What does munkar means? It is da'if in the chain, but he's adding to it that cannot be from the Prophet of Allah. So this is the word which is munkar, is an addition. And I'll give you an example. Prophet ﷺ attributed to him a hadith which is not authentic, that he had heard some people saying, whenever they want to relieve themselves, do not face the Qibla or make their back towards the Qibla. Which is the correct hadith. Don't, when you defecate or urinate, you should not face the Qibla, nor you put your back towards the Qibla. So he said, in this hadith, which is attributed to him, which is not authentic, that he's been told about people that every time they want to use a potty to urinate, they don't face the Qibla or put the Qibla. So he said, حَوِّلُوا بِمِقْعَدَتِي إِلَى الْقِبْلَةِ. Turn my potty, when I do it in it, towards the Qibla. And this is a hadith that is said, unauthentic, but used by those people to say that you don't have to, to urinate in the other direction of the Qibla. No. You can urinate towards the Qibla. Because the Prophet said, حَوِّلُوا بِمِقْعَدَتِي إِلَى الْقِبْلَةِ. This hadith is an assistant of da'if. Shaykh al-Albani talks about it. And he says that this is unauthentic in the chain, but also I add it's munkar. Why is it munkar? Because he lived for more than 60 years with the hadith of the Prophet of Allah. And when you live with the Prophet ﷺ's hadith, you start to know that this is from the words of the Prophet of Allah or not. You know that. You know the detectives as well. When they, for example, want to analyze a crime, they look at the writings. Is it similar writings? Yes. And also they look at the structure of the sentences. They study all your letters, and they will decide that this letter belongs to you or not. Because the way you structure the sentence, isn't it? This is the Prophet of Allah, he studied, this is the scholar who studied the hadith of the Prophet. He would study the structure of the hadith. So this cannot be from the hadith of the Prophet of Allah. Prophet of Allah, another hadith which is authentic. It says that when you urinate or defecate, don't face the Qibla and don't stand, you can't put your back towards the Qibla. And this is authentic. Now this one to abrogate, no way the Prophet of Allah said that to people, and those people are implemented, then he's taking the mick out of them by saying, those people, what are they talking about? They're wrong, put my potty towards the Qibla. Did you understand that? It cannot be from the Prophet of Allah. It's not a way of refutation from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Coming back to the hadith of the Prophet of Allah, النهي عن قراءة القرآن في الركوع. نعم.
Forbiddance of reciting the Quran in rukuh. He used to forbid recitation of the Quran in rukuh.
Did you finish the footnote? Did you finish the whole footnote?
I think there were 2 lines left.
Go on, leave the 2 lines. So he said, this is the haqq, inshaAllah. But in the sunnah was being confirmed that to prolong this rukun, yes, as we're going to see in the night prayer. Did you do that?
Yeah.
So if the person, go on.
Hence, if
I think we finished it. Yeah. Sorry, we finished it. Sorry. Yes, we finished it. Right, okay. Sorry about that. Now.
Forbiddance of reciting the Quran in rukuh. He used to forbid recitation of the Quran in rukuh and sujood. That's a footnote, no?
No.
Muslim and Abu Awana. The forbiddance is general, hence covering both obligatory and voluntary prayers. The addition in Ibn Asakir, as for voluntary prayers, then there is no harm. It's either shadh or munkar. Ibn Asakir pointed out a defect in it, so it is not permissible to act according to it. Further, he used to say, verily, I have indeed been forbidden from reciting the Quran in rukuh or sujood. In the rukuh, therefore, glorify the supremacy of the Lord, mighty and sublime. In it, as for the sujood, exert yourselves in supplication in it, for it is most likely that you will be answered.
Right, so when this, as I said, it doesn't mean that in the rukuh you don't do the dua. It doesn't mean that. But there is emphasis here that the rukuh is to glorify the supremacy, ta'zim of your Lord. And in the sujood, you say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, and also to make the dua. The dua is emphasized, but it doesn't mean in the rukuh there is no dua. I'm saying this because I'm narrating for you what Shaykh al-Albani has well said and the other scholars. فَقَمٍ, this word is a very an odd word. You don't use it that much. فَقَمٍ جَدِيرٌ, it means جَدِير. It means فَقَمٍ أَنْ يُسْتَجَابَ لَكُمْ, that is, you are deserved to have your supplication to be fulfilled when you make it in the sujood, because when you make it in the sujood, you are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. Now, al-i'tidal in the rukuh.
Straightening up from the rukuh and what is to be said then. Next, he sallallahu.
By the way, before I go as well, it's very important to understand that when he said that he's been forbidden to recite the Quran on rukuh and sujood, it doesn't mean that if you have used a verse of the Quran that was, which is being used as a dua. For example, if you have used some of the verses that is in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, in the last ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. You said that. That's no problem. Even you are reciting the Quran, but you did not use it for recitation. You used it for what? Dua. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا رَبَّنَا وَلَا تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْنَا إِصْرًا كَمَا حَمَلْتَهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِنَا. I'm not reciting the Quran. I'm making supplication. So, رَبَّنَا وَآتِنَا وَعَدْتَنَا عَلَى رُسُلِكَ وَلَا تُخْزِنَا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. In Surah Al-Imran. I'm not making a recitation of the Quran. I am making what? Supplication using the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. So there is a difference between recitation Because the one who recites, he would start reciting the first and the one after that and the one after that, just like he does in the qiyam before the rukuh. I hope I have made it understandable to you. Now, al-i'tidal min al-rukuh.
Straightening up from the rukuh.
And what should be said? Okay, the women's rukuh. I have been asked the last time while I was leaving, my own brother here found that is regarding the women's rukuh. Some of the people attribute different type of rukuh for the female. Let me tell you from the start, which I have mentioned and I emphasize, إِنَّمَا النِّسَاءُ شَقَائِقُ الرِّجَالِ. Prophet of Allah said, verily the women are similar to the men. In every single move in the prayer, there is no difference between the male and the female unless it's been specified otherwise. And there is no specification in the prayer whatsoever, whether regarding where you put your hands right on the left on the chest, where some of them they say underneath the breast of the woman, we say it on the chest, or regarding the rukuh or the sujood, where we know that we should make our elbows away from where? More sides. They say for the woman, no. For her it is better or more respectable not to widen the gap between her arms or her elbows and her sides. That's not right. It's the same thing. So the women, they do this as the male, which is they will put their hands aside from their bodies in the sujood and also in the rukuh. So there is no difference between the male and the female unless the Prophet ﷺ mentioned otherwise. Where did he mention otherwise? Like da'wah. The awrah of the women different from the men. He mentioned that in a specific hadith. Otherwise, if he did not have that hadith, then he would say to the women, you could pray as the man without a scarf, and you could really as well show your arms, for example, no problem. And because Prophet ﷺ said, لا يقبل الله صلاة حائض إلا بخمار, that Allah will not accept a woman's prayer except with a khimar, then we know that she has to have covering the awrah in full. And regarding her prayer as well, she should be covering the upper portion of her feet. As for the bottom portion of her feet, if there is no strange men, I mean men which are permissible for them to marry her, also the strange men means like strange men like cousin, the strange men, then if there is no men like this, she could expose the bottom of her feet, otherwise she should cover it. So the bottom of her feet when she most prostrates, no problem to show. الاعتدال للركوع وما يقول فيه. This is a big subject. We're going to talk about the putting the right on the left, basically. So let's start with it, inshallah.
Straightening up from the rukuh and what is to be said then. Next, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam would straighten up his back out of rukuh, saying, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allah listens to the one who praises him. He also ordered the one who prayed badly to do that, when he said to him, no person's prayer is complete until he has said takbir, then made ruku', then he said, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allah listens to the one who praises him, until he is standing straight. When he raised his head, he would stand straight until every vertebra returned to its place.
Go on.
There's a footnote.
Go on.
Bukhari, Abu Dawud, faqar, vertebrae, the bones making up the spine from the base of the neck to the coccyx, according to Qamus. See also Fath al-Bari.
I'll explain this. Go ahead.
Next, he will say while standing, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. O Lord, and to you be all praise.
And sometimes he says, Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Now,
He has commanded all worshippers, whether behind an imam or not, to do the above on raising from ruku' by saying, pray as you have seen me praying. He also used to say, the imam is there to be followed. Where he has said, Sami Allahu liman hamida, then say, O Allah, our Lord, and to you be all praise. Allah will listen to you, for indeed Allah, blessed and exalted, has said by the tongue of his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah listens to the one who praises him.
Jazakallah. Right, in this, this is two things to be noticed here. Number one, that is, there is two supplications. It's been mentioned here. One supplication, we are going from the rukuh to the upright position. And there is another one when you are upright. So this is the first thing I need to notice, that each one of them is having a dhikr connected to it, which is Sami Allahu liman hamida. This is the dhikr which is in between the rukuh and in between the upright position after the rukuh. Sami Allahu liman hamida. So if the person had said it while he is rukuh, before he stands up, Sami Allahu liman hamida, it's not right. If he said it while he has upright position, Sami Allahu liman hamida, it's not right. So it's while he's going, Sami Allahu liman hamida. It's not to be said before, like the other takbir, which you could say Allahu Akbar, then you move. This is when he's going up, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Okay? So he used to say, Sami Allahu liman hamida. When he is in the position, say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. We notice now the second issue, that is, if those people who are behind the Imam had implemented what some of the scholars had said, as soon as the Imam says Sami Allahu liman hamida, you say Rabbana wa lakal hamd, then you have committed one of the two mistakes, and each one, it could be worse than the other. That is, if you said Rabbana wa lakal hamd when the Imam said Sami Allahu liman hamida, it's either that you have, number one, is that you have made this movement from the rukuh to the upright position empty of sense. That's number one. Or you have said Rabbana wa lakal hamd while you're going up, which is another mistake. So this mistake or that mistake, one of them is worse than the other. So either you said Rabbana wa lakal hamd while you're going up, so you have made the dhikr of Rabbana wa lakal hamd instead of when you are upright, while you are going doing it. Do you understand that? Or you have made this is empty, and then you said Rabbana wa lakal hamd when you're standing. So now we understand that we have two sayings, whether you are behind the Imam, or whether you are on your own, or you are the Imam himself. Then you have to say Sami Allahu liman hamida. When you stand up, then you say the adhkar of the standing up, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd, hamdan kathira. We're going to see inshallah next week. So let's just read the footnotes, please, number 6 here. What means? Go on.
This hadith does not prove that those following an Imam should not share with the Imam in saying Allah listens to the one who praises him, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Just as it does not prove that the Imam does not share with those following him in saying Rabbana wa lakal hamd, O our Lord, to you be all praise. This is because the purpose of this hadith is not to set out exactly what the Imam and his followers should say in this position. Rather, it explains that the followers' tahmeed should be said after the Imam's tasmi'. This is supported by
what it means up to here. This is before so I read from the words. This is supported when I tell you to read. This is what it means. It means that this hadith was not said that once you hear the Imam say Sami Allah liman hamida, you say Rabbana wa lakal hamd, and you don't say that Sami Allah liman hamida. No, because the Prophet of Allah is a hadith which is general. إنما جعل الإمام ليتم. The Imam was made to be what? Followed. فإذا كبر فكبر. If he makes takbir, make takbir. فإذا ركع فركع. And also when he says Sami Allah liman hamida, you should say what? Sami Allah liman hamida. That's what it means. But this hadith was said to say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. That is that the Imam says something which you don't hear. We know that you should follow the Imam in the apparent movement and the apparent words, but there are words which you don't hear the Imam saying them, which is what? Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And that's a proof to say that the Rabbana wa lakal hamd is to be said by the Imam what? Silently or loudly? Silently. So because you're not hearing the Imam what he's saying after Sami Allah liman hamida, we're saying to you that you say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And that is what we say that what the Haram is doing is wrong. When the Imam is saying Sami Allahu liman hamida, that there is a person who is making tabligh, which he should not make the tabligh in the first place, is repeating the words of the Imam, but when you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, and that's not right. Incorrect. Continue from that what you just left.
This is supported by the fact that the Prophet ﷺ used to say the tahmeed when he was the Imam, and also because the generality of his saying prayers,
صلوا كما رأيتموني يصلي. Pray as you've seen me praying.
dictates that the follower should say what the Imam says, for example, tasmir, etc. Those respected brothers who referred to
Respected scholars, you should say. Go on.
Those respected scholars who refer to us in this issue should consider this, and perhaps what we have mentioned is satisfactory. Whoever would like further discussion on this issue should refer to the article by
Suyuti. In this issue, دفع التشنيع في حكم التسميع. Right. I have told you that, as I said, that when the person behind the Imam says, رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدِ, he did one of two mistakes, and each one could be worse than the other. We said, either he said, رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدِ when he's going up, and that is he made this supplication which is supposed to be when he's upright, he made it when he's going from the rukuh to the upright. Okay, and here, when he stands up, it's going to be empty. Or he had made this empty, going up to the upright position, and then he said, رَبَّنَا لَكَ الْحَمْدِ. So he made that empty. One of the two is, each one of them is a mistake or a wrong. وَأَحْلَاهُمَا مُرُّ. We stop here, and we continue, inshallah. I'll just leave that the one after that.
He also gave a reason for this command in another hadith, saying, For he whose saying coincides with that of the angels will have his past sins forgiven.
فإنه من وافق قوله قول الملائكة. It's been said regarding what this? Regarding the Ameen. For verily whatever is Ameen synchronized with the Ameen of the Imam will have his previous sins been forgiven. I have heard by Sheikh Mashhoor, he says that this hadith, it could come, and it's not for the tasmi', it is also for the Ameen again. And he was not sure. I was with him in the car and I asked him in particular about this hadith, and he said this could be, according to his study of this hadith, that this hadith is what it meant because some of the ruwah he mentioned, they made maybe a mistake, and this is hadith supposed to be for the Ameen. Do you understand me? It's not for the Ta'meen. It's for the Ameen, not the Ta'meen, which is Sami' Allah liman hamid. It's not for the Tasmi', it is for the Ta'meen. Ameen, which is not for the Tasmi' of Sami' Allah liman hamid. Because, when you say, with the Imam said, Sami' Allah liman hamid, you're going to say what? Sami' Allah liman hamida. No way your Rabbana wa lakal hamd is going to synchronize with the Imams unless you said Sami' Allah liman hamida with him. Do you understand me? There is no such thing that, as we said with the Ta'meen, when the Imam finishes the Fatiha, he should what? وَالضَّالِينَ quiet them. And then people say Ameen, so they will be with him. Ameen. But this one, how is he going to say Ameen? Rabbana wa lakal hamd with him. And we said that we should not say Sami' Allah with the Imam. He said, Imam Sami' Allah liman hamida, we start saying Sami' Allah liman hamida. The Imam says, Rabbana wa lakal hamd already. So how can I synchronize my Rabbana wa lakal hamd with this? And as I said, it needs more studying of the hadith. If the hadith was for the ta'meen, alhamdulillah, would be resolved. If it is not, Sheikh Al-Albani hasn't talked about it, how the Rabbana wa lakal hamd, but I will dig deeper inshallah regarding it. We'll stop here. That's why I wanted to stop here, inshallah. We might have an addition next week for what we have said. Now, have any questions regarding what we have said? Fadal.
prolonging the rukuh and the sujood during the salat al-mafruda. If that is mistaken or is not following the sunnah?
No, I said to prolong the rukuh to make it equal to the qiyam is not the case.
He said it's preferably for the night prayer, not for
The night prayer or in your own, But if you're leading, you have to put نصبعينك in front of you. The hadith of the Prophet من أما فليخفف. Always فليخفف فإن من ورائه المريض وذو الحاجة الضعيف العجوز the sick, the person behind him, the old man is behind him, the one who's in need is to do something. So all of those are behind you. So when I lead the prayer, I have to take into consideration those people. And that's what the Prophet of Allah, when he comes to the prayer, he wants to prolong and he hears a cry of a baby. He already intended and thought of making the prayer what? Long. But because of the baby cry, he made it what? Short. Because he knows that the mother, her heart is with her baby, so she is either being in sort of an uncomfortable situation where her baby's crying and maybe she's saying what the people are going to say about me and disturbing them, or maybe her baby is this making it uncomfortable for her. She has to finish in order to address his needs. All of that. That's why he finishes quickly. So normally it is the case. If you prolong the rukuh, no problem, but don't prolong it to such an extent that you think you have to make it equal to what your qiyam. That's not from the sunnah.
That's why we pray sometimes in this masjid, we're praying behind the imam.
I don't think, no matter how he prolongs it, he makes it equal to the qiyam. No way.
Almost.
No. No way. If you count for it, it will be almost half. Can't, because your Fatiha, even if you are in your secret or silent recitation, should say, in the Dhuhr or the Asr, when you read the Fatiha, I will take, if I want to make tasbih, I need to make about 25 tasbih in order to catch up with the Fatiha, with the surah. So I wouldn't think so. So you would prolong it, but not to prolong it to make it equal. I'm sure.
During the Fajr, yeah.
Fajr.
Yes, sajda, when you read the sajda between so we try to prolong the same.
No, the sujood sajda is different. We're talking about the normal sajda.
Yeah, but normal sajda, because reading the Fajr, the sunnah to read in Jumu'ah, the sajda and the insan.
Yes, okay.
So the imam as well, he's prolonging his rukuh and sujood.
But it's not going to be equivalent to his sajda. No way, Sheikh. I have to be realistic. No way. Wallahi, they'll kick him out. If he's making his rukuh like he's reciting Surah Sajda, he will not be here, Imam, the following day. No way. I'm 100% with that. Okay, who prays the Fajr here? Do you think that is... No way. See? He isn't shaking his head straight away. No way. He prolonged it. But to make it to Sajda. So, let me just not do the rukuh. I'm going to do the rukuh with the Imam, for example. سمع الله لمن حمده. Is that okay? I made it 15. I made it 15 tasbih. Let's now recite Surah Alif Lam Mim. That تنزيل الكتاب من رب العالمين. Yeah, it's long. By the time you finish about 3 verses, you finish 15 tasbih. No way. People will run away. We'll leave them. We will have a backache. So, I don't think so, but it is longer than what you are normally praying rukuh. That's true, but it cannot be equal to, That's what I'm just saying, to justify the prayers of the people, to say, why the Imam is not making the rukuh equal to that should be the complaint of those people who are still knowledge, to the qiyam. Because you're wrong here, you are under wahm. You think that the rukuh has to equal the upright of the recitation. That's wrong. So only if you pray on your own, or you're praying the night prayer. Night prayer, you could, whatever you like. But the normal prayer, your rukuh with tranquility should not be rukuh. And after that, upright after the rukuh, and the 2 sajda, and between the sajda, these are the equal. But it's not equal to that. So this is to dismantle between them. And jazakallahu khairan if your imam is prolonging the rukuh. If you go to some of the masajid, wallahi, you will have a backache of just following the imam. You have to be an ajra to follow him. By the way, wallahi, especially between the 2 sajda, Allah, between the 2 sajda, so fast they are, so fast. Forget about Rabbana lak al-hamd. I say, Sami Allah liman hamidah. He says, Rabbana lak al-hamd. I'm just going, Rabbana lak al-hamd. I don't find him there. He's gone. True or not, ya akhi? Go to some of the masajid. He's gone. He can't say, Rabbana lak al-hamd, hamdan kathiran tayyiban. No way, forget about this. You just Rabbana lak al-hamd, you got away with it. Alhamdulillah, you made something. He's gone. These are the ones should be complained. So, our Imam like this, I should kiss him between his eyes. Believe me. Jazakallahu khairan. So, the Fajr, inshallah, the Fajr prayer is a prayer which is a special. Inna Quran al-Fajr kana mashhud. This Fajr is a special prayer, and it's supposed to be that we are entering at the beginning of its time and leaving when the light is about on. We don't do that, do we? We start with darkness and we end up with what? Darkness. True or not? This is the correct opinion, because the Ahnaf, they know that they start with his light. Yusfiruna jiddan, which is not right. Because there is a hadith which is spoken about the isfar. Can yusfir. Prophet Allah is to me. And there's a hadith which Aisha, she says, he has to leave the prayer and nobody would know us. I mean, nobody would know, distinguish us. They can't distinguish our shape. You know, some of the women can be distinguished without because she's particular short or fat or whatever, thin. You will know her. Cannot be distinguished because of the al-gharas. Really, shiddat lay. But there's, I talk about, so the scholar said, we start early and we end up late. That's the sunnah. Where does the imam do that? You have to recite a lot to do that. Maybe Surah Al-Sajda and Surah Al-Insan, maybe it takes you about 20 minutes. That's even less than that. Yes, less than that. Does it take you 10, 20 minutes? Count for yourself. When I do it, they should do 22 minutes. You're going to complain. So I finish out sometimes, look, 22 minutes. The two surah I made them with 22 minutes. 22 minutes, and we start about, let's say, half an hour, 25 minutes after the Fajr time comes in. So when we leave with this a bit of light, just a bit of light. We apply this only to the Jummah. I can't do that every Fajr. No way, you can't do that. And I'll have lots of people like yourself who complain.
Well, they want to pray Fajr and they have commitment, so they find themselves.
What commitment? The people pray the Fajr even 2 o'clock in the morning, which is in the summertime. Where is that commitment? 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock. There's no commitment. It's the commitment that is that. Allahu Musta'an. I mean, what time your prayer starts? Now. Here, 6:50. Why 6:50? No. Oh, it's not really set on a time. 6:55 is a bit late. Yeah, but this is a bit late for those people who work, maybe. You should do that if it's 6:55, because we never prayed after 6:45. Never, ever. We delayed it because we don't have people on the dole. Sammy, with people working. When the people working, they have to, set very early. The dole doesn't matter. You could start your Isha as well, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And the dole, at 6 o'clock you start. But nobody, because they're working, they have to finish by 8 o'clock, 7:30. Earliest 7-ish, but not before 7. So, Yeah. So what I'm just saying that maybe that's why the brother is, because the moment is too late. We start too late. So if it's too late, then I would say in the Jumu'ah, I wouldn't really touch Surah Al-Sajda. I would not even touch it. I just go with إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا وخلاص. Yeah, because people all go to work. Because most of the people, they work 7:30, so they need to. And the Imam, inshallah, will come. If you go to the Imam and tell him that I need to work, please no sajda today. When the early time comes early, you could make as much as sajda as you want. Alhamdulillah, since 1645, our masjid does not pray sajda at all on Jumu'ah. At all. Because they know. The people, they want to work. Especially those taxi drivers, they want to go to airports or whatever. No. Now, yes, uncle.
Can you advise me regarding this an unsound hadith that one was not faced Qibla when one is relieving oneself? Did I hear correctly what you said?
I said that this hadith is unauthentic. That is, Prophet of Allah, when he heard about people, they're not facing the Qibla or putting their back towards the Qibla, Prophet, he said, no, turn my potty towards the Qibla, to refute their decision. That hadith is unauthentic, and we said that Shaykh al-Albani said it's not just unauthentic, it cannot be from the Prophet of Allah. Prophet of Allah does not fix situation in this manner. It's not from the manners of the Prophet of Allah. And that's why he says the amarat, the signs of this hadith is not from the Prophet of Allah. And this is what we call it الذوق, taste. It's not for the Sufi taste, different taste this is. The taste of a person who knows the hadith because he's been living with it. As Imam Ibn Qayyim has said. Nah. Okay, uncle? And you question. Question.
You also alluded to what
Uncle.
had said. Because is there a remote possibility that Sheikh of the new age now could find a hadith that contradicts to what Sheikh Al-Albani has said? Is there a
The knowledge never stops. The question is, can we find contemporary scholars of these days that they would say something different judgment from the Sheikh Al-Albani? Knowledge does not stop. But as for you as a person, either you are a scholar yourself, hadith muhaddith, or you are just a beginner, a student of knowledge, you could distinguish this and this and this, beginner, or you are a total layman, nothing. So you have to categorize yourself, you know. So if you are regarding the hadith and talking about layman, you could be a professor in physics, but you're a layman in religion, you understand me? So if, for example, now, you've seen Sheikh Al-Albani said this hadith is authentic, and somebody said from those new ones had said unauthentic, and you notice the new ones hasn't been even praised with the scholars, haven't been praised by the scholar to say that they are scholars. As a layman yourself, you should not take that person because, oh, I think he's a Pakistani, I'll take his opinion. Or he's an Arab, I'm an Arab. I'm not going to take Al-Albani because they're baby. You're wrong. Because you're a layman, you heard, oh, Al-Albani, mountain, and this guy is not even known. So you should take Al-Albani's opinion. Because you cannot distinguish. But if you are a student of knowledge, which is you're at the start, you can distinguish. You see Sheikh Al-Albani's opinion and this guy's opinion, you will study, for example, oh, let me study, what did he say? What did he say? And the Sheikh Al-Albani, he contradicted him. He said, blah, 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 this. Then I would read Sheikh Al-Albani, did he deal with this issue? Sheikh Al-Albani forgot, maybe this book was not right. So now you take that person's opinion, because you have reached to a level that you could see that that person's proof is stronger than the proof of the Sheikh. No problem. Third one, which is a scholar. Scholar, you should be, because if you're muhaddith, you are the one who should be checking. You are the one who should be deciding. Not to depend on somebody else. So now, one of the three categories, so alhamdulillah, everything knows himself. So knowledge doesn't stop.
After the demise of the Sheikh Al-Albani, is there any other Sheikh who comes?
After the Sheikh Al-Albani's death, is there any person who had popped out at the moment in the in the muhaddithin, right? Is there? No, there isn't. They are almost similar levels, but there is no one from the scholars. They look at them. The scholars I'm talking about. They don't look at somebody who is distinguished with his. There is. In general, Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad. Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad, he's a muhaddith, but I haven't seen for him that he himself had popped out and to say that this hadith is authentic. Even Sheikh Al-Albani said it's not authentic. Until even after the death of Sheikh Al-Albani, he says, every time he, for example, teaches hadith, he had taught all the sunnah. For example, Sunan Abi Dawud. First thing, the person would read, Sheikh Al-Albani, he would say such and such and such. So he would mention Sheikh Al-Albani's opinion before he starts. So the Sheikh Al-Albani said, Da'if, said Da'if. So I haven't seen a contribution from him. So he's a muhaddith. He basically knows the hadith, isnad, he knows the men. He's like sleeping with the men, mashallah. All the narrations, he knows them by heart. He will give you the biography over there. Say the word. Rahmatullah. There are people who are youth in this, just like those Khawarij. They are in the Khawarij and the Hadith. At the moment they're coming up. They want to blast, to destroy the pillars of Ilm al-Hadith and to make their own. And they want to distinguish between the ones from the past and the ones who are in the future, like Sheikh Al-Albani. Basically they want to destroy Sheikh Al-Albani. That's what they came up. But Sheikh Al-Albani, Allah written for him that everybody, takes his books. No single library belongs to any sheikh, it has to have Sheikh Albani's books there. And I'm telling you, no single library or whatever book that the scholar has got, he has to have the Sheikh Albani's book there. He has to have it. Whether he agrees with him or he's in view, whether he's an enemy, even if a Sufi man, he will have Sheikh Albani's book there. He has to. Because he knows that this person, you are going to be ala, you're going to be depending upon him in a number of things. So you're going to say that, you look at him. Maybe you're going to mention him as, he says Sahih Daif, but you're going to look at it, he says Sahih Daif. Sheikh Suhaib al-Arnaout, okay, in his checking, for example, he died by the way, not a long time ago, last 2 months. Sheikh al-Arnaout, he does not mention Sheikh al-Albani at all. But he is much less than Sheikh al-Albani. Now he had done the Musnad Ahmad. He spent 10 years in the Musnad Ahmad because it's a project. And the one who was working for him to help him with this, many students of knowledge. One of them, he told us, he's the first thing he says to them, when you look at the hadith, look what Sheikh al-Albani says. But he does not mention that in his books. First thing, look at Sheikh al-Albani what he says. If you can't contradict, tell me. Look at that. If you can find something mistake, tell me. If you don't find it, say that you are. So they don't mention Sheikh al-Albani there. That's why Sheikh al-Albani says this hadith has been checked by Muslim Imam Sheikh al-Arnaout, and the ones who are there, they are not really knowing the haqq. They should be, saying this has been stolen from my books and been put in there in the name that they have done it. They haven't done it. So they do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will not thank the person who does not thank the people. Do you understand that? If you don't thank the people, you're not thanking Allah Azza wa Jalla. لا يشكر إلا من لا يشكر الناس. And we have to stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت